You didn't stumble onto this video by accident. Something brought you here, and if you've been feeling that quiet pull lately, that sense that something is about to shift, stay with me, because what came through in these cards today stopped me in my tracks. Hey loves, welcome back. I'm Alice, really glad you're here because the timing of this one is not random. This reading is about what you've been wishing for, the kind you don't say out loud. It's closer than you think. We're talking summer 2026, and the people already in your life? They're part of how it arrives. The signs are already showing up. Your gut already knows. The question is whether you're willing to trust it. Drop a comment, hit subscribe, let's get into it. The Three of Cups came in first, and this is not a celebration card. Not in the way people think. It didn't show up to tell you to go have fun. It showed up because what you've been carrying quietly for years, the version of your life you've almost stopped letting yourself picture, that thing has a delivery method, and it is the people around you. Some of you have been so locked in on the destination that you've been completely missing who is already standing in it with you. The friend who's been in your corner this whole time. The conversation you almost didn't have. The connection that holds the door open and you didn't even realize it was happening. Summer 2026. I don't throw dates around to make a reading feel dramatic, but the energy locked in at that window clearly. What you've been wishing for is not a permanent maybe. It has a season, and it's a lot closer than you've been letting yourself believe. The Six of Pentacles came in right behind it, and that pairing stopped me cold. This card is about real exchange, giving and receiving. Not transactions, not keeping score. The kind of dynamic where someone actually shows up for you and you let them. That second part is where a lot of you fall apart. Some of you are genuinely terrible at receiving. Not because you're ungrateful, because somewhere along the way you decided that needing things made you a burden, so you stopped asking. You got really good at handling everything alone. And now there are people around you who want to show up, and you keep the door just slightly closed. Enough to stay safe. Enough to make sure nobody gets close enough to actually hurt you if they leave. Open that door the rest of the way. The arrival you've been waiting for is coming through the people who are already there. Stop holding yourself at arm's length from them. The High Priestess came in next, and I want to be really clear about what this card is not doing. It is not telling you to go find more answers. It is telling you the opposite. The answer you've been circling, the one you keep asking other people to confirm, the one you've Googled at midnight, the one you've brought up in the same conversation 3 times, you already have it. You've had it for a while. The problem is not that you don't know. The problem is you don't trust what you know. Some of you have a very practiced habit of talking yourself out of your own gut. Something lands, clearly, quietly, before your brain even catches up, and within seconds you've already built the case against it. Too risky. Too hopeful, probably just wishful thinking. And you hand the wheel back to the version of you that got burned before. She is not impressed by that. She's sitting very still, looking directly at you, and she is not moving until you get honest about what you already know. The repeated numbers, the name that popped into your head right before they reached out, the pull toward something you couldn't explain but knew was right. You noticed all of it and filed it under coincidence, because coincidence felt safer than trusting yourself. Your gut is not broken. That is what this card is saying. Then the star came in, and everything shifted. The stars don't move. The light is always there, always pointing in the same direction. The only variable is whether you're looking up or looking down. And a lot of you have been looking down for a long time. Head down, grinding, surviving, which makes total sense given everything you've been through. But when you're in survival mode, you miss the quieter signals, the ones that don't come in as emergencies, the ones that just show up steadily and wait for you to notice. Here's what this pairing is telling you straight up. What's coming in summer 2026 doesn't arrive without your participation. Not your effort, your attention. Your willingness to notice what's being shown to you and actually act on it. The path is already lit. Stop outsourcing your knowing. Look up long enough to see it. The Wheel of Fortune came in next, and this is not about luck as something that just happens to you. This is about a real shift in the season of your life. And here's the thing about a turn. It does not wait for you to feel ready. It moves. The only question is whether you're moving with it or standing still while it goes right past you. For a lot of you, the season that's ending has been a long one. A stretch where things felt stuck, where you kept putting in effort and the returns felt thin. And you kept going anyway. Not because you had certainty, but because stopping felt worse. That's the quality that gets rewarded when the wheel turns. It is turning, right now, not eventually. But don't slide past this part, because the wheel is asking you something directly. Are you actually making changes that match the season you're entering? Because the wheel turns, the opening shows up, and people keep living like they're still in the season that just ended. Same habits, same patterns, same moves that made sense when survival was the whole job. The wheel doesn't change your behavior for you, it just makes the ground available. You have to step onto it differently. Look at what you're still doing out of old fear that doesn't even apply anymore. The way you undersell yourself because you got used to not being chosen. The way you stay small in rooms where you've more than earned the right to take up space. Those were adaptations. They got you through, but they are not getting you where you're going. Then the Fool came in, and honestly, that pairing hit me harder than I expected. The Fool is not naive. The Fool is standing at the edge of the cliff, sees exactly how far the drop is, and steps forward anyway. That is the specific kind of courage a new beginning actually requires. Not blind faith, a deliberate choice to move without a guarantee. To let this chapter be different, instead of bracing for it to hurt the same way the last one did. Some of you are right there, right at the edge, and you're holding back. Not because you don't want it, but because wanting it fully, without that protective layer of skepticism, feels way too exposed. That worked when you needed it. You are not in that season anymore. The wheel says the luck has turned, not will turn, has turned. The Fool says the right response is not cautious optimism. It's a decision to go all in. Make the changes your gut has been pointing at. The window is open. Walk through it. Judgment came in next, and this is where it gets personal. And I need to say this first. This card is not a verdict. It is not the universe tallying up your mistakes and deciding whether you've suffered enough. That is not what's happening here. What's actually happening is this card is asking you to put down the case you've been building against yourself. Some of you are carrying something you have not forgiven. Not someone else. You. The decision that went wrong. The version of yourself that handled something badly, that chose fear, that let someone down. You tried that version of yourself, found them guilty, and sentenced them. And you are still serving the time. Years later. That old verdict is running quietly in the background, setting a ceiling on how good things are allowed to get. Here's what Judgment is saying. That trial is over. Not because it didn't matter. It did. But you are not the same person who made those choices. Punishing a version of yourself that no longer exists is not accountability. It's just dead weight on a road that's asking you to move faster. And some of you, there's also someone else you haven't forgiven. And that story has gotten so familiar you don't even notice anymore how much energy it costs you to keep carrying it. Every time you replay it, drag it into new situations, let it decide how much you're willing to trust. That energy is gone. It's not protecting you. It's just keeping you stuck in a room you already walked out of. Judgment is not asking you to reconcile. It's asking you to let go of the hold for you. Because what's coming cannot land in a life that's still half occupied by what already happened. Then the Six of Cups came in, and that pairing really matters. This card is warmth. Simple, real goodness that doesn't need a big gesture. A small kindness with no strings attached. The version of you that existed before things got so heavy. And the reminder, that person is still in there. What you put out is what comes back. Not in some vague, abstract way. Literally, the texture of what you send out is the texture of what returns. If you've been operating from old hurt and guard and self-protection, that's been the signal you're broadcasting. Not because you're a negative person, because you got hurt and you adapted. But that adaptation has run its course. You don't need some big dramatic forgiveness moment. Just do one thing today from the version of you that isn't running on fear. One kind word. One moment of showing up without calculating whether it's worth it. And yeah, that means this too. Drop a comment, like the video, subscribe. That's the Six of Cups in real time. Small, genuine, no score being kept. Temperance came in for this final position. And let me tell you what this card is not, because people get this one wrong all the time. It is not telling you to want less. It is not asking you to slow down your ambition or settle for something smaller. That is not what this card does. What it's actually showing you is a figure standing with one foot on land, one foot in the water. Pouring between two cups. Not stressed, not straining, just completely at ease. Not choosing one over the other. Holding both. Grounded and open at the same time, without those two things being in conflict. That's the move. Not slow down. Integrate. Because some of you have been running on pure output for so long, you've forgotten there's another gear. All effort, all push, all forward. And that got you somewhere real. I'm not dismissing that. But your body has been keeping score. Your nervous system has been keeping score. And underneath all that forward motion, there is a tiredness you've been refusing to name because naming it felt like falling behind. It's not falling behind. It's just true. And Temperance is asking you to tell the truth about it. Where are you running on empty and calling it fine? What have you been ignoring? Your body, a relationship, something that keeps nudging you, because you just don't have the bandwidth right now. Here's the thing. You can't hold something lasting when you're constantly running on fumes. The balance isn't a bonus you get after you hit the goal. It's part of how you get there. Then the Four of Wands came in, and I felt that one. This card is home. Not a house, home. That feeling of walking into a space and your whole body just exhales. No performance, no impression management, just you're here and that's enough. An intimate thing. The people who actually know you. A celebration that's not for the crowd. And what I'm seeing for a lot of you is this. The season is shifting from wide open striving to something quieter and way more satisfying. Not less, deeper. Some of you have been moving so fast toward the destination that you haven't let yourself actually be anywhere. Rest has been this thing you'll get to eventually, once you've earned it enough. The Four of Wands is saying, no. The warm, close, genuinely good life you've been putting off, that's not the reward at the finish line. That's something you start building right now. So here's the practical ask from this pairing. Pick one thing, not 10, one. One thing this week that's about your body. Sleep, food, movement, rest. that you've been letting slide. One relationship you want to bring closer, not fix, just tend. One habit from survival mode that you're done with. Start there. Because temperance doesn't work through overhaul. It works through small, consistent shifts that eventually just become who you are. What's coming in summer 2026 deserves a version of you who can actually receive it, who's present enough to enjoy it. That version starts now. Not later, now. Every single card in this reading has been saying the same thing from a different angle. The High Priestess said, "You already know, stop asking everyone else." The Star said, "The guidance has always been there, look up." The Wheel of Fortune said, "The season has shifted, the luck has already turned." The Fool said, "Step forward with your whole self." Judgment said, "That trial is over." The Six of Cups said, "Lead with warmth and watch what comes back." Temperance said, "Tend to yourself the way you've been tending to everything else." The Four of Wands said, "The cozy, nourishing life you've been postponing is available right now." That is not a collection of themes. That is one story, and it is yours. You are not at the start of this. You are deep in it, further along than you've been letting yourself admit. What's coming is not a reward for becoming someone different. It is the straight-up result of everything you've already done, survived, and chosen, even when choosing was hard and nothing was showing yet. You've been carrying this alone for longer than you should have had to. What these cards are showing me is someone who kept going when stopping would have been completely understandable. Someone softer than they let on, tougher than they give themselves credit for, and closer to what they've been reaching for than they've let themselves believe. That person deserves what is coming, fully, no conditions. The warmth is real. The turn is real. The season that's going to feel like finally, it's real. You've done the hard part. What's next is not more grinding. It's the harvest. It's coming home. It's the version of your life that has been waiting, very patiently, for you to believe you're actually allowed to have it. You are. You always were. Don't let this be something you watch and forget by tomorrow. Drop a comment right now. Tell me which card hit the hardest. Tell me what you're finally ready to put down. Tell me what you're choosing to receive. Out loud, in writing, where it's real and not just something you thought once and let go. I read every single comment. Everyone. Like this video if it landed. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Not for the algorithm, for you. Coming back to this kind of energy on purpose, consistently, that's part of how the momentum keeps building. That's not a metaphor. That's literally how it works. The season is already here. The wheel is already turning. The only question is whether you're ready to let it be as good as it actually is, without shrinking it, without making yourself prove it one more time first. You don't have to prove anything. Not anymore. Sending you so much love. See you in the next one.